Yo, what is going on, guys? Got a wild story for you here today titled Disloyal Wife Faces Jail Time for Unlawfully Taking Our Son After I Discovered Her Infidelity. Okay, so here we have a woman who flips out, right? She has the usual meltdown that women do when they get caught cheating. But this time, she has a kid with this guy, and she chooses to take the kid away from him, which in this situation is unlawful. So she must have gone to a different state or something. She might have just, she must have just ran away with the child thinking that it was going to be okay. But it turns out that she could be on the line for some jail time, as is rightfully deserved, in my opinion. So let's jump into this story here. And guys, do not forget to leave your thoughts and your comments. Let's take a listen. But guys, before we jump into today's story, just a quick reminder that I have set up a second channel where I will be recording daily videos or thereabouts, once again, of women over on TikTok. I know a lot of you guys enjoy this video style, but to be honest, it's very headache inducing to make. So I will be making one video a day, roughly, over on the second channel. If that interests you guys, make sure you go and check out the second channel. I'm going to leave the link in the video description. A 36-year-old man discovers that his 34-year-old wife, who is a preschool teacher by the way, is having an affair. When he confronts her and files for divorce, she retaliates by unlawfully taking their young son across state lines. What she didn't expect was the legal storm that followed and the possibility of jail time. Now, I don't know much about American law, which is, what I assume that is where this is. But I'm going to assume that it is unlawful to, simply take a child and take them across state lines. That's my assumption here. So let's continue. I, a 36-year-old male, found out that my wife, who is a 34-year-old female, was cheating, and then she tried to disappear with our son. We had been married for 9 years with a 5-year-old son. I truly believed that we were a tight-knit little family. I work in finance, she worked part-time as a preschool teacher, and mostly stayed home to care for our kid. We lived comfortably, had a family nearby, and what I thought was a strong foundation. And it turns out that I was the only one who felt that way. Okay, so here we have, this woman doesn't work as much. She stays at home to look after the kid, and he's working in finance, okay? So again, one of these situations that you have is the dude is the breadwinner, right? And so the women will oftentimes classify him as boring, too predictable. He's always at work, so she doesn't get enough attention, right? And she ends up cheating on the guy. I always find this to be a very sad part of the story, because it's always the guys who provide for their families the most that end up getting cheated on, if you guys have ever noticed that. We'd always had an open book policy about our phones, he said. I never snooped, but I could have if I wanted to, and so could she. That changed one week when I noticed her phone was suddenly locked with a new passcode. I asked her about it. She shrugged and said it was for privacy and that I shouldn't be so paranoid. That was the beginning. She started going out more, doing the drinks with friends multiple times a week, mind you. She came home, or would come home distant and tired, and brush me off anytime I tried to connect. I felt like I was losing her in slow motion. Okay, so she's pulling out of all of the red flags, right? Hiding the phone, locking it, doing the drinks with friends multiple times a week. Just by the way, guys, if you have a wife, if you have a girlfriend who's going out there drinking with the girls, just know that this is absolutely a threat to your relationship or your marriage. A lot of people will call you insecure if you're not comfortable with this, right? But me personally, I don't think that's the case. I don't think men are insecure because they don't want their wives having girls' nights out. Okay, like again, right? If you are someone who comes from a household where your mother and father are still together, they're married or whatever, your mother is probably not out there having drinks with friends on the weekends. She's probably not out there having girls' nights out. Okay, so let's continue. One night she passed out early on the couch after one of her girls' nights. Her phone buzzed nonstop. I ignored it at first, but then I saw a message pop up from a contact saved as Rachel that read, "Can't wait to see you again next weekend, same hotel," and something snapped. I opened the message thread. There were no details about shopping, work, or kids, just flirty messages, questionable photos, and hotel plans. Rachel was not a Rachel at all. He was a guy named Mark, and judging by the history, this had been going on for at least 6 months. Yeah, so just by the way, Again, I always point this out, probably was going on for a longer period than 6 months. Okay, so she'd been seeing this guy, going out, hooking up with him, and whatnot. He says, I confronted her the next morning and she broke down immediately. Didn't deny it. She just started crying and saying that she felt trapped and didn't know how to fix our marriage, as if I was the problem. I told her that I was filing for divorce calmly. I didn't yell. I just said I'd already reached out to a lawyer and she begged me to reconsider, claiming it wasn't serious. Said Mark was just a fantasy that she didn't intend to take seriously. He says, I didn't care. Infidelity was the end of the world to her. If it wasn't the end of the world to her, but it was to me. Yeah, don't worry, guys, right? The dude that your wife goes out there and hooks up with, oh, it's totally fine. Why? Because she's not taking him seriously. You know, she's going out here, she's giving her body to some random dude, but the husband is not supposed to be concerned about it because don't worry, it wasn't serious. This has to be one of the stupidest justifications or just, you know, downplays of infidelity I think I've ever heard. You know what I mean, guys? Like, oh, you do something. This is like going out there, right? Committing a felony and then going in front of the judge and saying, you know what, judge, I understand this, okay, but listen, I didn't do it seriously. It wasn't serious, all right? Yes, I may have committed that particular crime, but I just want you to know my headspace at the time, me personally, I wasn't taking it very seriously. And I would just love to see what the judge says. You know, it reminds me of like similarly, right, where the women are like, oh, don't judge me for my past. That's ridiculous. You know, and I always think of like a courtroom where someone goes up there, you know, they've been charged with a felony, and try using that as an excuse. Okay, you go out there, you do something horrendous, and you say to the judge, hey, listen, I don't want to be judged for my past, as if you have the choice. You know what I mean? As if the past isn't highly relevant, as if what you do isn't highly relevant. It's so stupid to me, man. So incredibly stupid. But don't worry, gentlemen, she didn't take it seriously. She didn't take this guy seriously, which makes it okay. A week later, while the divorce papers were being processed, I came home from work to find the house empty. No wife, no son, just a note that said, I need time away, I'm going somewhere safe, and don't try to find us. She had taken our child without my consent across state lines to stay with her sister in another city with no court order, no custody agreement. She just vanished. She had no idea she was committing a felony. Yeah, so I thought this would be very serious over in America, I would assume. A lot of places in the world, I would assume, and I would hope that this is really quite serious. He says, I called my lawyer immediately, and then I called the police. Luckily, I had already consulted with a family law attorney who walked me through the process. I filed an emergency custody order. Yeah, see, this would probably screw her over with her own ability to get custody afterwards, right? Because if the dude says, hey, listen, I want custody, and also she's done this previously, right? Then the odds of him getting custody, I would think, would be a lot higher, is my assumption here. He says, and because she left the state without my permission and without legal custody rights, she was now in violation of parental kidnapping laws. Holy hell. Within 48 hours, the order was granted and the police in her sister city were notified. She was served court documents and given a strict deadline to return our son or face criminal charges. Oh boy. Oh boy. So, boom. Felony, right? I love it. I love to see it, okay? Served with the court documents. Fantastic stuff. She came back, but not without putting on a show. I wonder how old the kid is, by the way. I'm going to assume it's quite a young child. Because she, you know, because at the beginning of the story, she was staying at home to look after the child quite often, it seems. So I'm going to assume the son was quite young. Yeah, so check this out. 3 days later, she came home in full tears with our son clinging to her. She played the victim the whole way, saying that she was scared and she thought I'd take him from her, that she had no choice. But the court didn't care about excuses. Oh boy. She was formally reprimanded by the judge and narrowly avoided jail. Bam. By agreeing to a strict shared custody arrangement. So let me get this straight. This guy still has to share custody with the crazy woman. Man, I swear, courts are just incredibly biased against men, guys. Like, you can have a woman who is quite literally an addict, and the court will go, you know, yeah, that's fine. She can still have shared custody. Oh, what's that? She kidnapped the child. Oh, yeah, you know what? It's fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. Shared custody. Insane. But the judge made it very clear if she ever pulled something like this again, she would be arrested. I mean, okay, but like, I feel like the punishment still, she shouldn't get shared custody after doing something like this, I would have thought. But hey, you know, courts, again, very, very favorable to men, obviously, being facetious. She thought that cheating was the worst thing she'd done until she faced the legal system. I don't think it ever crossed her mind that she could be facing jail time for what she did. She thought that she could just run, play the emotional card, and come out clean. Instead, she walked into a courtroom and had to explain to a judge why she thought it was acceptable to kidnap our child because she was upset about getting caught cheating. Hilarious. He says the divorce is ongoing. I have primary custody. She sees our son every other weekend under court supervision for the time being. Okay, so she has fortnightly custody here. Couple of days. So what's this? 2 out of 14 days she has, you know, she gets to see the child. Okay, this is better than 50-50, you know. But the fact that she still even gets to see it, it's like, okay, whatever, right? But she sees the son every other weekend under court supervision. Me personally, guys, like, I think this woman should have supervision either the entire time or just not get custody whatsoever. But that's just me. He says, I've changed the locks, I've hired a great attorney, and I'm keeping a detailed record of everything. I don't trust her with anything anymore, not my home, not my kid, not my peace of mind. I'm focused now on rebuilding for me and my son. Smart move, honestly. I think this woman definitely should have had jail time for doing this, in my opinion, right? I'm not a sympathizer with people who break the law. Particularly laws like this that involve children, guys. Like, I'm just not a fan of people who break these sorts of laws. Personally, I think she should have been locked up. I think she got away pretty lightly, but again, she kind of screwed herself a bit with the custody, right? Had she not done this, I assume she would have got 50-50 custody, or she would have had most of the custody. It probably would have been the other way around, to be honest with you, where she was the primary, the primary custodian. But guys, we're going to be leaving today's episode there. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments. Make sure you guys take care of yourselves, and I'll be seeing you all in the next episode. Peace.